I did this thing called unplugged entertaining, where my friends would come over and I'd have everything set up, pre-prepared, and we would all sit in the kitchen around the kitchen island making food together and eating as we go along. And this worked out really well because the other thing that's really been great is mixology. I don't know if it's big here in Baltimore. Is it big here? Yeah. In San Francisco, it is huge. So what I do is I set up a little mixology bar in the kitchen where we're sitting, and I put a few spirits there and a few flavored juices, and then another few flavored simple syrups like bay leaf simple syrup, rosemary, raspberry, and then also some homemade bitters. So people can make their own concoctions, and then we have sort of a test at the end of the night, and we vote for who made the best cocktail. So it's been really fun. These are two of my very favorite recipes that I entertain with, and they are so simple, I'm almost embarrassed to show them as an example today. The first one's my crab and avocado crostini. Now, whenever there's crab involved, people think it's like you've spent hours on it. I don't know what it's about, but it's basically, so I start off with these little crostinis. So I brush them with a little olive oil, I put them on a baking rack in the oven, and I toast them for about, 10 minutes, something like that, until they're brown. Take them out, and that's the bed for this delicious combination of flavors that I'm going to show you, and it's really easy. I have some minced shallot. I have some yellow peppers diced, and you can use red peppers, you can use green peppers. If you want to add a little spice, I sometimes put jalapenos in there. We have lump crab meat. Now, it's important to use lump crab meat because if you get the claw crab meat, it's kind of stringy and it's not very attractive. And you just want to make sure that all your guests have a nice chunk of crab in every single bite you take. And then I have an avocado, and this dressing, I got to show you how easy this is. So this is Meyer lemon juice. This is actually not Meyer lemon juice, but I use Meyer lemon juice. This is half juice of an orange and half juice of a lemon. And that's how, if you don't have a Meyer lemon, that's how you sort of imitate Meyer lemon juice. And all you do is put a little olive oil and Meyer lemon juice and whisk this up, and salt and pepper, and that's about how easy it is. It's so delicious. Here's a little pepper. And then what I like to do, it also has the avocado in it. I like to get the avocado in there first because you want all the citrus to coat it, because nobody likes brown avocado. And the way I do my avocados, have you ever seen anybody like do the little, the grids inside the skin and all that thing? I can never do that. So what I do is I do a spoon, like a little spoon like this. I just dig it out, go around, pop it over like that, do the other one. And I do, you know what else I do? I do a lot of mango salsas and papaya salsas for like on top of fish and stuff like that. And I use this technique with mangoes and papayas too, and it's so much easier than, trying to peel it or use a knife. So I just pop this over like that. I dice this up, and I pop it in the bowl. And then I make sure that all of it is coated with the lemon juice and the olive oil. And of course, you've got to salt and pepper this to taste. And then all I do is pop in all the other ingredients. I have the shallots, I have the yellow pepper, and the incredible crab. All right, just mix that up. That is how easy this is. And I gotta tell you, it's gonna make you a rock star with your friends. And you know what? I don't know why, but I have a red pepper up here that I dice. So you know what? I'm gonna throw that in there too, because you know what? It's gonna make it more colorful. The more colors that you can get in there, the more tasty it's gonna be to their eyes. So all I'm gonna do is toss this up. Like I said, salt and pepper it to taste. Everybody has a different taste of salt. So I like a little bit more salt, a little bit more pepper, because I like it a little spicy. Mix that up, and it's ready to get on these little toasts. Now, when I'm serving these at a party, what I do is on a platter, you know how when you have a platter and you're serving it at a party and people are eating it, and then all of a sudden you're serving it, they start sliding all over the place? What I do is I put a nice looking like linen napkin or something on the platter so that you don't have that sliding around. All right, and I use a little demi-tasse spoon like this because it's so much easier to pile all this stuff on top. The other thing that I really love about this is I love doing things in advance. And up until the avocado, you can do this the day before. You can combine all these different things, put it in the refrigerator covered with plastic wrap, and you can just leave it there until you're ready for your friends or whoever to come over, and then just cut up the avocado and then mix it up at that point. All right, check that out. All right, I'm gonna serve this to you. Look at the first man here. So it's so easy, right? I mean, it's and people think that you spend hours and hours and hours. Yeah, it's really good, the flavor combinations. And so simple with lemon juice, right? Lemon juice and olive oil. I mean, it's just that simple. All right, this is the next one that is my total go-to. It's my Southwestern sopapilla. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever had sopapillas before, but they're usually a sweet dessert in New Mexico. And I've done it in a savory way. And I did that with it's a bean salsa that I put into it. So basically sopapillas are little fried dough balls. You put them in the oil and they puff up into little dough balls. And it's the perfect vessel that I thought to stuff in really incredible flavors in this bean salad that I'm gonna show you. So I basically have some rinsed black beans, throw that in there. And I have some roasted chili peppers. Now, I use the hatch chili peppers. Have you ever heard of the hatch chili peppers? They're grown in a valley in New Mexico, and you can find them at most any grocery store, but if you can't, you can just find a regular roasted chili pepper that's diced up. It's all pre-diced. Throw in a clove of garlic. I have some seedless Roma tomatoes. So I've taken the Roma tomatoes and I've taken the seeds out. And the reason that I take the seeds out, because I don't want it too moist so that when it goes in the little dough vessel that it makes it soggy on the bottom. So I've seeded these. The other thing about this, I love using this as a side salad. I will do just this without the dough, and I'll do it as a little, side salad, serve it in a lettuce cup. It keeps in the refrigerator. Like I said, you can do this the day before as well, and it's just perfect. I'm gonna use this avocado. The other half of the avocado that I use for the crab and avocado crostini. So up until this point, you can you can do this the day before. Gonna get the avocado in there. And then I have a little ancho chili powder. So, and this isn't very spicy. If you don't want it to be so spicy, if you think it is spicy, because a lot of my family doesn't like spicy at all, so they can really taste the mildness of the ancho chili powder, you can just leave it out. It's not a big deal. I have lime juice, and I have some queso fresco. Do you guys like queso fresco? So it's a the thing I love about it is I love the briny quality. It's a Mexican cheese, and it has it's not only salty, but it has like a vinegar flavor to it as well. And it crumbles so easily. It's like it just crumbles, and it's really tasty, and it adds so much flavor to anything that you put it in. The other thing I like using, if you can't find queso fresco, you can use a cotija, which is another Mexican cheese. It's a little saltier and it's a little heavier, so I don't usually go to it, but if you like it really salty, you can do that. And you know what? If you can't find queso fresco, you can use feta cheese. It's really, really that versatile. I love to encourage people to sort of think outside the box, add whatever they want. You can use corn in this, grilled corn. You can use anything that you want. Jicama, I have one in a recipe in the book where I use jicama. And then I have just a little bit of cilantro. I know a lot of people do not like cilantro, and if you don't like cilantro, you can use parsley. It's not that big of a deal to switch it up. All right, and you just mix this, and now it comes to the dough. So gonna let this sit. The longer this sits, all the flavors, the ancho chili really comes out and it's really prevalent. So I do make this the day before I have a party because it's even better the second day. Can you guys see this at all? Yeah? Good. All right, so I'm gonna just set that aside. Now, I have some canola oil heating up here and I'm hoping it's about 350 degrees. I don't have a thermometer, so we're gonna see. And I've just, in a mixer, I just add some flour, baking powder, and salt. And I sift that into the bowl in the mixer, and then I mix it up a little bit. And then I add a little bit of shortening, about a quarter cup of shortening. It's the only time shortening appears in my book. I don't, it's like I said, I lean toward the healthy. So this is really the only time I use it. But you have to use it for this dough. And then what happens is that you mix it all together, forms like little pebbles. It looks like oatmeal. And then you add a little room temperature water. You change out the mixing utensil here for a dough hook. And then you slowly add some room temperature water, and the dough hook forms it into a ball. Very simple, I'm serious. And then it comes out in a large ball like this. I let this rest for 5 minutes, cover it with a paper towel, and then I cut it into 4 sections like this. And then all you do is roll these out. So when you roll these out, see how easy this is? When you roll these out, you want to do it at about a 1/4 of an inch thickness. The thinner they are, the more they're going to puff up. So if you keep them at a 1/2 an inch or something like that, they're not going to puff up as much. You're not going to ruin it. It's just not going to puff up as much. And you'll see, hopefully, if it puffs up, that it's like this really nice vessel that you pop a hole in it and then stuff all the bean dip down on the inside. All right? So make sure that you have a floured surface and a lot of flour on hand, and also that your rolling pin's really floured. And it's easy as that. I'm going to cut these into 1.5 inch sections. And I know in the cookbook it says 1.5 inch squares. It doesn't have to be squares. It really doesn't have to be squares. It can be any kind of shape. In fact, I really like when it's a completely different shape. So I just cut these like that. Can you guys see this? Like that. And then I pop them into the oil. Keep your fingers crossed, guys. Right like that. Get this other one in there. And the other thing about this is, I know that I said I have a healthy option for a lot of things. I have a thing in the cookbook where you can do whole wheat pita chips, that you just do them similarly to how the crostini was. Brush the pita chips with a little olive oil, put them on a baking rack in the oven, and it's a really healthy option for this. So these are looking pretty good. I mean, they're puffing up pretty well. You don't want to overcrowd the pan, because if you do, you're going to end up with one huge dough ball. And you don't want that. So the way that I discovered this recipe was, I told you guys that I was in, not in Santa Fe, but in Albuquerque with my brother. And we were eating out at restaurants all the time and eating sopapillas for dessert. And I'm like, how come there's no option of a savory sopapilla? It's like such a great thing for entertaining. And so that next night, my niece and I came up with this recipe, and I got to tell you, I need to keep my nephews away from these dough balls, because they will just eat these as they come out of the oil. You need to keep everybody away from them, because they are great just to serve as they come out of the oil like this. So this is how they come out. This one, if they don't puff up as much, it's not a big deal. All you do is pile all the great bean stuff on top. And what I do is I sprinkle it with a little ancho chili powder and salt mixture. So it gives it a little bit of heat, a little bit of a spice. I'm going to actually pop another couple in these before I garnish this one. See if it puffs up a little better. So, and also the thing I do like to do with this, you can take this dough recipe and you can make it into a sweet recipe. I just mix simple cream cheese with either vanilla or honey, mix it together, and I pipe it into the center of this dough ball. Of course, I leave the ancho out of it, and then I drizzle it with a little honey and then put chopped pistachio nuts on the top. So it really is versatile. You can use it as a dessert as well. So I love the versatility of it. See this one? See how this one's really puffed up? See, that's good. All right, I'm happy. I'm happy with that one. And everybody likes a different level of brownness, so just do it. There's no rule to it. If you like it more brown, if you like it more crunchy, you just, keep it in a little bit longer. Just make sure that you flip them so not one side doesn't stay brown. It's both sides that get plenty of brownness. All right, so I'm gonna actually take, where's my little, here's my little spoon. All right, I'm gonna make one of these up for some lucky person out there. So can you see this? So I just pop a hole here, like I do a little X, push all the extra dough on the outside down into the thing, because you don't want to waste any of that dough because people love this dough. And then I'm gonna put a little dollop of that bean dip in there. You want to make sure you get a little bit of everything. And can you guys see that? Isn't that awesome? She has chewing gum in her mouth.
Could you use tuna instead of crab for the crostini?
You know what? Sure. What the heck? Yes, you could use tuna if you want to. If you love tuna and you want to use tuna, it's a whole different flavor than the crab, obviously. But you know what? I really like people to make the recipes their own. So I'm going to say, yeah, go ahead and use tuna. And you know what? Write me and tell me how it is, okay?
There you go.
Because how can you go wrong with tuna and avocado and shallots? I mean, they're all great flavors.
Can you use ground beef and fill it
with the on the beans?
In the bean salad?
Absolutely. And you know what? You can use ground beef in the bean salad and that would be like an entree. You know what I mean? If you want to just eat that for one night, serve it with a little starch on the side, it's great. Or a little veggie.
How old were you when you started cooking?
Oh, I thought she was going to ask me how old I am now. I'm like, whose kid
Well, we
is
want to
that?
know that too.
Whose kid is that? 29. Yeah, exactly. Not going to answer that. I was 8 years old when I started skating. How old are you? 8.
Denise?
See, it's a perfect time for you.
What's the best way to sear the tuna?
Little olive oil, like a couple minutes on each side. Slice it up or dice it up and mix it in. That would be fantastic. I'm going to steal that one too. Okay, this is.
Yes.
I like to know the best way to prepare and cook salmon because that's just one of those things you wind up drying up, and so.
Where are you?
What's the best way to prepare?
Oh.
What's the best way to prepare it and marinate it and cook it? 'Cause
I do a lot of the times. I do salmon really simply on stovetop. A lot of times I really like eating salmon skin. So the other thing that I'll do is, do you like eating salmon skin? Okay. So what I do is I do it on stovetop and finish it off in the oven. And so I will rub the salmon skin with a little bit of butter, and then I will put it into the skillet with and start cooking it that way. And the whole time, I'll keep it the whole time on the skin side because that makes it really crispy and crunchy. So, but what I'll do is I'll do that for about, 3 to 5 minutes, and then I'll pop it in the oven to finish cooking. So, and I really like that. For those of you who like eating salmon skin, that's the way to do it. If you don't like eating salmon skin and you don't want to have any skin on the fish at all, I also do it stovetop in a little bit of olive oil, just really cleanly. I cover it so that the kitchen doesn't smell like salmon. If I have having guests over, I'll also do it in the oven. So I'll heat the oven up really high to like 500, and then when I put the salmon in, I'll turn it down a little bit more, and then cook it in the oven because then the whole house doesn't smell like salmon when your friends come over.
You said a lot of the other recipes are healthy recipes from
Yep.
your book. So what's your favorite of the healthy recipes?
One of my favorite healthy ones is I do this tomato and cantaloupe salad with toasted pine nuts, avocado oil, and a little bit of white balsamic vinegar. People, it's funny because when I serve that, they're like, wow, tomatoes and cantaloupe, they think it's like just so different, but when they taste it, you get that sweetness of the cantaloupe, and then the taste of the tomatoes, and also the nutty taste from the pine nuts, and then the simple balsamic vinegar, which is different than the red balsamic vinegar. It's a white balsamic vinegar. It's a little more heavy-bodied than like red wine or white wine vinegar or something like that. And then the avocado oil just gives it that really mellow avocado flavor. That's really one of my very, very favorite go-to salad recipes. When I first wrote the cookbook, I realized that the publisher said to me, I thought I'll just do my favorite recipes of all time and just put little introductions into it. And the publisher said, no. People read cookbooks like they read novels. They curl up in an easy chair and they read it. So you have to make this, you have to create stories that go into the recipes that have meaning. And so it was a great thing for me to explore and realize how much food has been a big part of my life in family traditions, in my travels since I've been 13 years. I've been eating different things around the world since I've been 13 years old. I mean, when I was 14, I had Wiener Schnitzel, and when I was 15, I had raclette and fondue for the first time. So that really has influenced how I look at food and how I prepare food as well. Family is cooking. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, for me, I try to create family traditions because I had great family traditions around food. I come from an Italian family that just would graze all day long while they're making Thanksgiving dinner, and then we'd eat Thanksgiving dinner too. So we would have cocktails and we'd graze all day long. So it was a way to share the holiday together and share our company and create magical memories. So I'm trying to do that now with the cookbook with my nieces and nephews, because I have a ton of nieces and nephews and great nieces and nephews now. So I'm trying to do that. So combination of all my travels and all family traditions, that's what's really influenced the way I look at the cookbook.
Brian, thank you also for being here in Baltimore. We here in Baltimore love you. Glad to have you guys. Do you ever get together with any of your former skating colleagues and you guys all cook together?
It's funny because I've had a lot of people they're like, I want to be on the TV show and cook with you. So they've come out of the woodworks. I mean, we never sort of discussed, cooking or anything, and they're like, I never knew that you like to cook, because, we work together so much that we don't hang together, we don't live in the same cities and stuff, so we don't really discuss that. But I have had a lot of people come out of the woodwork and wanna come cooking on the show. I had Christy Yamaguchi on the show and her whole family. So she didn't want to cook with me. She just wanted me to serve her food.
Brian, can you talk a little bit about food for athletes? I'm a runner and I don't really get to eat a lot of stuff with oil in it in training.
With
do you have
what
any
in it?
favorite oil? Do you have any favorite recipes that are lots of fresh vegetables but still lots of protein?
Do you like eating carbs? I mean, will you eat pasta if it's like if it's whole wheat?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I have. Check out the cookbook. I have a really great vegetable pasta recipe. When I was training, I ate a ton of carbs. That was what my diet was based on. And I had very few proteins. I'm not saying that that's the right thing to do. It was just because I had a craving for carbs, and I knew that if I just based my whole diet on proteins, I would end up binging on carbs. So I devised like sort of this diet that would be heavy on the carbs. So I would make pastas for myself and stuff like that. And one of the recipes in the cookbook is based on that training recipe. I'll make you one. You want one? Okay. You're welcome. Wait, about the girl who doesn't eat oil. So you won't eat olive oil or avocado oil or anything? Oh, a little bit. Yeah. So you absolutely use no fats at all for preparing? Oh, okay. So you can go light on it. I mean, that's what I would say is use healthy oils and go light on it.
Someone asked me when I was walking around what your specialty was.
My what?
Your specialty.
Who was? Well, I think my specialty is I absolutely adore fall apart meats and proteins. So I do a lot of braised stuff in the cookbook. I do lamb shanks. I do pork shoulder. I do the best pork shoulder in the entire universe. I braise it in pineapple juice. So I buy the full pork shoulder and then I cut it into sections for friends and I tie it with string so everybody gets their own portion. And then I braise it in pineapple juice. And then on the top I put like a combination of paprika, coriander, cumin, brown sugar, and I just sprinkle that on the top. It's also in the pineapple juice when I'm braising it. And then what I do is after it's like fall apart, I put it under the broiler and caramelize that brown sugar, cumin, coriander, paprika on the top of it. And then I serve it on like a bed of, I'll either do like a parsnip and celery root mash, which is very healthy. Actually, you got to check that out. I do also I do a cauliflower and apple, roasted cauliflower and apple puree that it's literally just that vegetable stock, cauliflower, apple roasted in the blender with salt and pepper. And people think it's mashed potatoes. So I serve the pork shoulder on either of those two things. And that is like a go-to. In fact, I served that at a charity dinner one time. And I sat next to a woman. She's like, I can't eat it. I'm not eating carbs. I'm like, that's vegetables. And she like ate it. And so I ran into her the next week and she's like, I've been eating this every day for the last week, which is good because you can make a big batch. It stays in the refrigerator. And the best part about it is you can make it a day before your dinner party and just reheat it on a double boiler. So you don't even have to worry about the vegetable side of it. You just have to worry about cooking the protein. And it's warm and delicious and people absolutely go nuts about it.
Do you have a favorite food from like any of your travels or your favorite dish?
So I mentioned the raclette that I had when I was 15 years old. I went to the Megève, which is in the Alps in France, to train. And I don't know, have you guys ever had raclette? Do you know what it is? It's a wheel of cheese that they melt. And then what they do is they just scrape it off. They like have this big melted wheel and they just scrape it off and it falls onto this plate, this mountain of melted cheese, and you pair it with, like, you eat it with cornichons or potatoes or, you know, whatever they're serving. And so that was one of my favorite things. And also I mentioned the Wiener Schnitzel in Vienna when I went there. The one thing that I did not have a good experience with was sushi the very first time I was in Japan, because, and to this day, I bought it on the street and I was about 20 years old, and sushi, back in that time, sushi was not popular in America. So it wasn't the sushi that I had problems with, it was what was on the side. And I sort of bought it and I brought it back to my hotel room and I opened it up and I said, oh, this is weird. With all this fish, they have like thinly sliced turkey. I'm gonna just pop that in my mouth, and like I popped this whole thing in my mouth, and it was the ginger. To this day, I cannot stand fresh ginger, but I love ginger flavored things, but I cannot stand fresh ginger.
How do you make the chicken interesting with keeping the fat low, like just a spray in a pan? Like what toppings are to make it good?
I mean, it also depends on what you're willing to eat. Like I'll do different things to spread on top of the chicken. Like I'll do hoisin mixed with honey or something like that. I don't know if you're willing to eat the sugars in that. Yeah, see? So I think it's what you pair with the chicken and also how you prepare the chicken. I mean, grilling chicken is a fantastic way to make it a lot more interesting. The other thing that I do is I do like a brick chicken. Have you ever done the brick chicken? So yeah, I have something in the cookbook. It's a brick chicken. It's like just, will you eat like a little olive oil? So all you do is put the chicken under a brick and it gets really crispy and crunchy and it's really tasty. So there are a lot of different ways. I think it's mostly in the preparation of how you go about doing the proteins, because everybody gets tired of eating the same thing all the time. It's just in how you prepare it.
One big Baltimore round of applause for Brian Boitano! Brian Boitano!
Bye guys, thank you. Thanks for coming.